Okay, guys. I guess it's time to start. Our Zoom session. Today we do have a very interesting topic. Computer vision, one of our uh, very advanced and uh, like one of our technologies which we're working on very hardly right now. Wanted to go into the details regarding computer vision, what actually we're doing here, what we're aiming to create here. And of course, I'm greeting everyone. I can see that we do have a lot of participants from different sides of the world, from Japan, from Canada, from Hungary. Uh, Greetings to you all. Welcome to this Zoom session. And let's start. So today, uh, I'm going to have a co-host, my colleague named Victor. So Victor is like football analyst with a very big experience. He used to work in a analytics like football analytic companies in Instat, in Six, and have like more than 2 years of experience. So he is one of the guys who is helping to create the computer vision technology. And today we're going to share this knowledge, what actually we're doing here with Victor. So Victor, can you say hi to our audience?
Hi to all guys. Alex, I want to maybe say some words. Not 2 years of experience, but over the 10 years of
10.
experience.
I said two. Sorry, sorry. 10, of course, 10 plus years of experience. Um, misspelled. Sorry. Yeah. So Victor is here with me. Guys, let's start. Oh, sorry. Before we start, I wanted to say, like in general, how we're going to uh, to lead this Zoom session. So today we do have this topic, computer vision, and uh, I would say that it will take, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 minutes. And I know that you do have a lot of different questions. So we will, like what we're doing right now, we're aggregating these questions from you in the previous Zoom sessions, in the chats, in the social media, anywhere where you like ask us something. And tomorrow on the next topic, we will so the first part will be the topic of tomorrow. It will be regarding our one of our greatest media activities, football fight. So it will be presentation. After the presentation, we'll have an AMA session where we're going to answer to some of the most interesting questions that you've posted. So again, please shoot your questions today, whatever you want to in the chat, in the social medias here. We are aggregating them, and tomorrow we will start to actually answering the most important and interesting questions. So let me start. Let me share my screen. Okay, so computer vision. Computer vision is, to be honest, one of our most exciting technologies that we are creating within the walls of the blockchain sport ecosystem. So this is fringe science for the football industry, in my humble opinion, and we'll ask Victor as well, because right now the football is going towards being digitized in a different ways, in the ways of aggregating data, in the ways of doing some manipulations with this data, like prediction analysis, like something that can help coaches, nutritionists, medical, uh, like medical guys. So here we are creating a brand new technology which will help maybe not just the blockchain sports ecosystem, but in general the football industry. And let's dive more deeply into what we're actually creating here. So basically, what we're doing, we are creating a group of the cameras. So like the basis of this technology will be the group of cameras which will be placed on the perimeter of the football field. Um, and this cameras will have a very high level of resolution and the quality. The main idea is to cover like every angle of the football field without any blind spots. So we're teaching these cameras how they can work together in order not like any just a tiny detail won't go away. Because like even now, for instance, the match is being like filmed somehow. But for instance, like football is a very dynamic game, and a player could run towards to another direction outside the visibility of the camera or the football ball itself. So that's why we're creating this landscape of the cameras, which will be like taking a look at the football field from 360 degrees. So there will be no angle which will be untracked by the camera which we are using in our computer vision technology. So all of these cameras, they're synchronized between each other, so they can simultaneously take a look on the football field without any blind spots. And right now, what we're doing, we're creating different hypotheses, like where to play these cameras, how many cameras we need, what should be the most, like the best type of the camera, because there is a lot of different special cameras just for the computer vision, just for this technology, and we are creating the best match here. So the amount of cameras, the types, where they should be situated, and so on. So in general, this is what we're doing. This is like the basis of this technology, to have a clear vision of like any tiny movement of the grass or the ball of like football players, etc. Basically, if we're talking about how we can analyze the matches, there is like two different ways how we can do this. We can do some in real time analysis where the football players are being represented on the field, how the speed, how they're doing passes, what is the frequently zone with like some sort of a heat maps, and so on. And what we're doing here, like in real time analysis, is the most important and the most hard type of the match analysis. Because, for instance, like, but let's step over a bit. So imagine maybe some of you have heard about this special equipment which is helping to understand. Like for instance, you're entering some building, and there is a system which is determining who is entering the building, right? So it's like taking a shot of your face, comparing to the faces in a database, and you can go in or you can go like you don't have an access. So this system have been working for a while, but the point is that this system is working in the statics. So the statics is okay. The statics is not a fringe science, but dynamic analytes of something is a fringe science right now, and this is what our developers are hardly working on, to catch up these parameters in real time. And believe me, this is very hard to implement. So if we're talking like circling back to the how the football matches are being analyzed, or like in general sports matches are being analyzed, also there is a post-match data analysis. When we have some sort of recorded video, so the match is over, we do have video recorded, and we can work in with this data. We can work in with this video. We can create some heat maps. We can create some in-depth analysis. Some companies are using like analytics, and like Victor used to work in these companies where people are like researching this video to understand like what was going inside, how the players were interacting between each other, like how they were like tracking their activities and so on. And we wanted to combine everything together here in one technology, which we are calling in general computer vision. So because like we do have experience uh, in the left side of the things, and I mean in real time analysis and the post match analysis, we are doing some sort of a combination and trying to create a system which will be uh, like utilizing all the data mostly in the real time. This is like our determination here. So if we're talking about real-time analysis, so here on this screen, you can see how we're tracking the football players. So imagine that like we do have a system, and I just want to go more deeply into some details how we're actually doing this. So we do have these figures on the field, right? So first, what we teach our system is to determine in general, like football players, the figures. When the system is doing this, it gives a special, like it's assigned a special ID to this player. And here on the screen, you can see an example of how the system is doing this. So on the second stage, system is understanding where this ID of the football player is representing in terms of the coordinates of the football field. So we understand where in field's coordinates this ID is being represented, how it's moving. And even if this ID slash football player will go like outside the vision of this camera, I mean this particular camera, it will be catched up by the another camera. So this football player, this ID representation of the football player, it won't go in a blind spot. It won't go like somewhere else, so we cannot understand like where it is and what is going on with him. And this is one of the problems that actually we're trying to solve here, because if you're shooting something and the object is going outside the camera, like you don't know what is going on with this object. And by the object, I mean ID and football player, of course. On the third stage, so the first stage is called action and detection. So we're determining what kind of actions actually being placed, like taking place by this football player on the field. So is he is like moving? Is he is doing some kicks, passes, goals, scoring goals, making some corner shots and something like this? And actually, who is performing this? So as a result of all these stages, we do have an algorithm which is taking all this data and output it in some sort of a database of the particular game. So, Victor, maybe you can step in for this block of the presentation that I do have right here, because I want your professional comments on what we're doing. So, in this block of the presentation, we're stepping in what kind of metrics and what kind of things we're actually gathering with the computer vision technology. So first of all, like we do have, I guess, 12 different points here stated out. So first of all, we're determining the player's position on the field. Victor, why it is important, and I don't know, is it commonly used in the current in the current analytics tools? And what are we adding here from our side?
Yeah, it's one of the basic from the analysis, because to understand and to analyze the things in the football, you need to understand where what the ball, where was the referee. You need to understand where is the players related to the ball, to the referee, and someone. So from all this data, we can start to understand what's happening on the field.
Okay, great. So this is like the core, the foundation of the majority of like match analysis tools, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, okay. So this is correct me if I'm wrong, but this is like commonly used by the trainers, so they need to understand where exactly the guys were on the field, and they're using it in their tactics. And this is just the general, like the foundation of the analysis that the coaches and the helpers uh, have been doing after the match, right?
Yeah, you understand, right? The first of all, you can combine all these points like positioning of the players, to the lines or to the scheme we to understand which scheme coaches are used in this game, or maybe he changed the scheme during the game, and we can understand how the players running and something like this, depending on his coordinates. So it's one of the important things to start the analysis.
Yeah, and maybe I can add something else. So I know that football was transforming through the time. So like maybe 10 or 20 years ago, it was more about having a nice, like decent, like professional football like players on the field. Maybe one or two guys were doing, were guiding everybody else. They were doing the general match by themselves, as as a big football stars. But lately, football have changes, and it changes more into the like in the area where the coaches are doing some analysis. It's like, first of all, it's a team game, and coach is like the biggest figure behind the scenes, so he's like dictating and creating the strategy, and it's not like one technique of the player versus another technique of the player. It's like one strategy of the one coach versus another strategy of another coach. Is it right?
Yeah, he's right. Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
you're
okay.
correct.
Yeah, I'm just highlighting this moment for everybody. Maybe not all of our audience so deeply involved into the football, for instance. Okay, so the next very important thing that is needed to be aggregated is player speed. Speed is one of the greatest parameters which should be taken out from the football match. And even when you see like see some football matches in real time, so sometimes commenters are saying, naming this player speed, and speed is very important for some specific guys on the field, right, Victor? Who is
Yeah.
like attackers, midfielders? Who is who?
Mostly, Alex, it's important for every player, but depending on the role, sometimes it's hard to understand that, hard to have a big speed. For example, for central defender, because he's high, he's has more weight, so for him it's harder to have a big speed or something like this.
Yeah, I mean, like what I was trying to say, it's not important for every like person in the team on the field, but for some guys, it's extremely important to understand their speed and understand their speed. I mean, in dynamics from match to match, and we're going to hop to this point a bit later. So the next thing that we are working on with the the computer vision is the cover distance. So how many meters were covered by each football player in the match? Because sometimes, especially when the coach is switching players between each other, and they just run for, I don't know, couple of 100 meters and do pretty much nothing. But why it is so important, Victor, to understand the cover distance?
The coverage distance show to the coaches like sometimes endurance of the player, which how many distance he can cover by the game, but the most of that the coaches mostly different the zone of this. So which intensity this player run in this distance, and then they can understand if this work was in high intensity or low intensity. It's also important to the coaches.
Right, right, right. Yeah, of course, of course. Because like if I'm a coach, I need to understand that my best player is like covering, I don't know, 10 or 20 kilometers, and then he had a fatigue level, and I need to switch him on average. And like it's very, very important when I'm doing some decisions in a real time match. Of course, it makes a lot of sense. So the next thing is frequency. Like, I mean, how much and how was the quality of the passes? Because not everybody, like not all the coaches, not all the football teams, but the majority of them, they're playing through the passes, right? So we need to understand how the football players were communicating, making some passes between each other, how many were intersected by the other like football team, and Victor, I know that you've been working on this, like doing this manual analysis. So why this is so important to understand the quality of the passes?
No, well, previously we talked with you about the like physical skills,
Yes.
but for football it's not about the physical skills. It's mostly about the skills of playing football. So passes is one of the main uh metrics action in the football fields. For example, if you take like some Barcelona game right now, Brighton, Liverpool, they made a lot of passes. So it takes maybe 100, 1,000 passes in the game. It can take like maybe 700, a lot of passes. And if the passes, mostly of them are wrong, that's it will show that the team play not correctly. Yeah, if we have like from these 700 passes, like 90% of accuracy, it will show us that the team can control the balls, understand how working in team and such information.
Yeah, controlling the ball, controlling the game, right?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so let's go further. Activity zones. We can highlight the most commonly used zones on the football field by the players. Since we're, having all of the coordinates, since we're having, all of this information from the cameras, we can track everybody how he was performing on the field. We can create some sort of, let's say, heat maps of the football fields and understand what places on the football field were more commonly used. So, Victor, why this is important for the coaches, for
Well,
instance?
no, mostly it's important to the coaches to understand for example, they are playing mostly left wing or right wing, or they're attacking from the center. Or if you're talking about the defense, they can check if their opponents playing through the midfield, they can maybe change their tactics, yeah, the modules, change the role of the players to explain them that they need to cover this and cover that place. So it's about how the play coaches can plan their game.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. The next one is fatigue level. So we briefly touched this subject before. So like football players are just human beings, right? They do have some like limited physical resources, and uh, in the majority of cases, it's not like important if you're doing a pass game and something like this. But in general, like coach need to understand the fatigue level of like every guy on the field, right? So here we're using special indicators based on the video analysis. And also, we plan to integrate some sort of a trackers when the players will be on the field in order to take the like medical data. And also, like we're going to talk about this a bit further. But the combination of these factors and these indicators will help us uh, to show up the potential fatigue level of every football guy on the field. And I guess we don't need to go into the more deeper explanation here. So the next one is the comparison of the previous games. So since we're recording everything, since we all do have this like data in the database, we can compare like the current results of the football, like particular football player or in general the team with the previous matches. So why it is so important? Like it's important to understand the dynamics. Like for example, I'm just having some examples here. Like you do have a new guy inside the team, right? So he cannot show the best results in just one game. So you need to have him on field for I don't know, Victor, how many? Like two, three, 5 games at
Five,
least in
ten.
order.
It depended on the player. It depended on their character. It depended
Of course,
how about this
but
behavior.
it's not one. It's not one, right? It's
Yeah,
like
of course,
multiple.
it's not one. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, it depends on who we're talking about. But the idea is that coach need to understand whether this guy is okay for this scheme, whether this guy is okay for this team, is he's in a good connection with the rest of the team, especially if it's I don't know a new legionnaire from the other country, and he can be scoring in the other like team because he had a nice I don't know relationship with the teammates. and he's not playing like very good in a new team. But he needs to have some data in order to understand whether this football player is good or not for the current status of the team. And that's why the comparison with the previous games for each individual and for the team in general is very, very important for the coach. So he can determine like what was like how the heat map was, like the heat map was created like in the previous games, in this current games, 10 games before, how this particular guy was running, what was his speed, what was his acceleration, what was his fatigue level. Maybe he was doing much better results in the previous games, but in this particular one, his stats are really going down, and like coach need to understand why. Maybe there is like a multiple like things that can happen on fields, I don't know, in his personal life, something like this. So that's why we need to compare the games, the stats, and to collect all this database. Another very important moment that we're hunting here with our data gathering is a pressing efficiency. So in a majority of the situations on the field, one of the teams is like pressing, having like providing a lot of pressure to the opponent, and we need to understand how the guys are being playing efficiently in these situations. Victor, maybe you can share like next words on the pressing.
Yeah, maybe if a lot of you like watching the football and maybe sometimes watching the football, they can understand that right now the best clubs are based on the pressing and high pressing. Like for the Jurgen Klopp from Liverpool, also it's called like gegenpressing because it's important when the opponent is just trying to create the attack from the different phase, maybe from the midfield phase. And if you catch the ball or intercept the ball in the time when they just translate to the ball to the attack, in this case you have like destructional team of opponent and you can have a lot of space to do what you want. So it takes more time, so it takes more space for you to make a good attack and score the goals.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So pressing is a very very commonly used strategy right now. That's why we're highlighting it here in our tech as well. So the next two things that we're covering here is let's say acceleration, like running and sprinting instance. And I remember one story. I guess Victor, you told me this story, right? When
Yeah,
uh,
maybe.
yeah, there was like there was some equipment testing, and the guys were running, and they were running, but this particular equipment, it wasn't supposed to take into the consideration the accelerations, and actually like the vectors where this acceleration took place towards the enemy gates or towards your own. And when Victor and his team started to analyze it, he understand that one or two guys, they were like accelerating, but they were accelerating in one direction more rapidly. But when they were going backwards, like the speed was the same, but the acceleration was much less. And they hop into the details. They like were trying to understand what was the reason, and they highlighted this to the coach. So if we just have the information about the speed can be the same, but this is the multiplication of the speed, acceleration, and the vector, actually where the player is heading, which can be very interesting for the data gathering. So we need a lot of data in order to create the whole picture, right, Victor? Or did I
Yeah,
miss
we no,
in
no,
my
it's
story?
you was correct, but we need to understand that we're working with the humans, the players are humans, and it's every time it's easier by psychology, it's easier to run in forwards than backwards. Yeah,
Ah,
it's easier
yeah, yeah.
to running forwards to score the goals and running back to try to steal the ball. So it's the main reason that when the players just running towards, he had the same speed, but when they get back, they had every sprint he had the lower speed, and coaches try to maybe substitute him, but he was not in time, and the opponent's team scores a goal from this player zone. So it's sometimes it's give a lot of information to understand when we need to make substitution or when what we need to tell the players maybe to go down or maybe stay in the position to control the ball or something like this.
So in this current situation, it was some sort of psychological moment, right? But this
Maybe we don't maybe we don't know about the psychological right now, but maybe he tired. Maybe it's just like because it's hardly
yeah,
to running back.
yeah, Victor. I was, I didn't. Okay, so my thought was the following. So maybe it's some sort of psychological moment, maybe something else. But what we can do here with the technology, we can highlight that something is wrong, and this is like the coach job to understand what actually is wrong in this particular situation. Take some actions here, right? So
Yeah.
we like probably cannot take the coach or the team behind the football players apart from this equation. So in any case, they will be controlling the game. They will be controlling like what should be on the football field. But we can highlight with the data a lot of tiny interesting moments which they cannot see like without this tech. And in my humble opinion, this is what's like providing the greatest benefit here with the technology to highlight that something is not working right, maybe to provide some suggestions with some AI tools. But in the end of the day, the coach will make the final decisions. But he needs to have all this information gathered in one place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay. So moving forwards, second, like the next one is the interaction between the players. Football match is, of course, an interaction between like 22 guys, and we need to analyze how they're interacting between the teammates. We need to like highlight how they're interacting uh, with the competitor's team and how they're in like an offensive and defensive actions, uh, like how they're doing this. So, Victor, I guess this is one of the main metrics which we are going to take into consideration, or am I wrong?
Or maybe not the main, but the part of the one of the main metric, yeah, because from this information, for example, if we take the interaction between teammates, we can understand, for example, how team build up the game from the different phase, how they trying to create the attack and something like that. Between which players we have the most passes, which players play mostly forward or backward is also important. If we take a look about the interaction between the opponents, yeah, we can share and we can show, for example, if some defender win more defensive duel with this forward, but lost mostly with that forward, yeah. So it's a lot of information to the coach to think, to modernize the play, to plan another way how to work with this team or with this opponent. So it's not the main, but one of the main part which we can make.
Okay, okay. So let's move forward. The last thing that we're covering here in terms of the metrics is, of course, the technical changes and health and safety. So the technical changes, like every coach have a tactical scheme, right? And he need to understand whether his football players are actually playing up to this tactical scheme. Sometimes they are going sideways, like in some cases, maybe the opponent is pressing them too much. Maybe there is some particular situation on field, but coach need to understand like where the guys are located on the field and how they're actually moving. So is his tactical scheme, is his tactical design is working or not? And maybe with some adjustments, like what should actually like do in the future. If your tactics is not working, maybe like there can be some suggestions that you can make a change, or change this tactic for the better one. So Victor, I would say maybe this will be the core, like the core proposition for the coaches, right? So the general tactics.
If we take Alex, if we take about talk about the modern football, we need to understand that there are a lot of sphere on that. For example, like for football skills, like have he work with the ball, like physical skills, like running or just acceleration, deceleration, and also the tactical skills and physiological skills. But if we're talking about the coaches, yeah, the one of the main for them is also tactical, because they need to understand how play the opponent, to understand where the bad zones of the opponent or where the best zones, where the best players played. So it's one of the maybe main instrument for the coaches to rule the game, because right now modern football it's like not about just have football skills. It's some summarize of these factors which can help to win the game, all of the game.
Yeah, yeah, I share the same. I share the same feeling about this particular one. So the last one is health and safety. In so the situation is the following. Sometimes, like in some cases, the football players they're hiding their injuries. It can happen, or maybe they don't even know about these injuries by themselves. And this is more for the uh, like medical like team, but also it's very important for the coach as well. So we are creating a special metrics based on the computer vision, based on the like monitoring, like GPS trackers, which the guys will be having on their bodies as well, to collect the data to create a special indicators which can highlight that something is wrong. Like for instance, one particular football player can be running with a nice speed, with a nice acceleration. We can compare all his stats during the training process, during the football matches, and he is like plus or minus with some with some difference. He's providing some data, right? So some kilometers per hour, some acceleration parameters, but in the next game, his rates are dropping down, and maybe it's like you need to ring a bell. You need to go for the medical facility to check him out. Maybe he do have some internal injury he doesn't know about by himself. Maybe he's hiding this because he don't want to be like he wants to play on the fields. Like this is a real time like situations, and he can be even more badly injured during the real game if he's hiding something. So we wanted to create a special set of the indicators which will help to determine the health and safety levels of the football players. And Victor, I guess like you're here with me. This is another very important moment that we need to
Yeah.
highlight.
For example, last maybe one of the biggest example of it, for the example, Belgian player like Eden Hazard, who was signed by Real Madrid. He was like top player of the world, but when he signed in Real Madrid, he started to have a lot of injuries. For the 3 or 4 years, he didn't play a lot. So he have a big salary. Real Madrid pays a lot of money for him, but he even didn't play maybe 10, 20 games for the 3 or 4 years. It's small amount of the games. So they spend a lot of money but have nothing from that.
Yeah, it's a pity situation, but yeah, it is good for the transfers as well. Of course, I was just concentrated on the real time matches, but for the transfers, it's very important parameter, which we are going to aggregate as well for all football players. So basically, on this slide, you can see how we are aggregating all this data and what we actually are doing with it. So our cameras. located around the field. Is gathering all this information with special analytics software we're working on. It's tracking players' positions, its speed, the distance between the player, how they're communicating between each other, the passes, the shots, and forming different types of the data. All of this, like different types of the data, is being aggregated in a special system, and after this we're providing special reports. For instance, a report for the coach, reports like some stats for the fans, some stats um, for our products that we do have inside the ecosystem, special reports and the analysis for the football player himself, so he can track his own data and understand what he should work on in the future. Let's talk a bit more about the cameras. So right now, what we're doing, I just want to highlight this moment. We started from this picture of the football field and having like six, eight, like 12 different cameras around. So right now we're working hardly to determine what should be the best camera types here, because like we're using different cameras with three, like 4 to 6K resolution, 30/60 FPS, how they're communicating between each other, on which height we need to relocate them, and like how many cameras we need to have around the football field. And as we speak, we start our first integrations of this camera on the real football stadiums. Victor, maybe you can put a few words here as well.
Yeah, right now we have like first stage or first steps to define how we can make it. We already put some sort of the cameras, some amount of the camera to understand how much camera do we need to cover all the field with good resolution, on which height it can be. We, for example, starts with like 4.5 meters. The next step will be 6+ meters, and the next steps will be 8 meters. But we find the best solution to understand what we can provide from this height, because it's for us important to get the correct data.
Yeah, sure. So like we're playing around with the concept with the cameras to understand what should be the best angles, the amount of the cameras, because like from one hand we want to have a lot of cameras. From the other hand, we do have plans to create this uh, like state like of the cameras on a very big amount of the football fields. So we need to create some not adjustable but sustainable construction of the cameras on the special heights, the special amount of the cameras to be like reproduced on a big amount of the football fields in order to gain all the sports data that we're gathering. And so here you can see on this screen, you can see an example, like how the game can be visualized, like with the camera. So we are um, like visualizing the football moments. Okay, so what I'm trying to say, like each football match, uh, it consists of a lot of interesting moments, like corners, like shots, goals, of course. And one of the things that's we're like going to have in the computer vision technology is that we're going to cut these interesting moments automatically and assign it to the ID, to the football player itself. So each football player will have a database of his finest moments, which were aggregating from these multiple cameras from the different angles, so we can in real time understand with a very small delay the shorted video, like the sliced video of this most interesting moments. And of course, to provide all of this metrics to our products that we do have. And we are providing this tech not just for the football matches, but also for the training. So at the training, coaches can also understand what is going on within the training sessions, because there is a big difference how the guys are performing on the training and how the guys are performing on the real football match. And sometimes like you cannot understand actually what is like that you do have a unicorn, like that you have a diamond inside uh, inside your team, because sometimes they're like doing their best on the trainings and sometimes vice versa. So that's why we're aiming to get all this data from the training process and from the real games as well. And having this like training sections analysis is very very important for the coaches, not just for the coaches within the blockchain sports academy, but for the coaches like in the sports industry. Like uh, imagine that all of this tech is providing highly interesting tips for the coaches, for the like for the players itself, for the team staff, for the medicals, for the nutritions, and this is what we wanted to combine in one tool. We wanted to provide it, like we wanted to test it within like blockchain sports ecosystem. We wanted to test it on our fields. We wanted to uh, capture and calculate and use AI to work on this data to create a special dashboards. Like every football player who will be working with this technology will be placed on special dashboards, will be placed on our resources, on our products. And our goal is to collect as much data as we can and to work on this data. And the main idea is when we will have enough data. So why we're talking about data? Because, for instance, AI tools, they need to be fed with a lot of data, and our main goal is to create a system which will be highlighting the moments, which will be doing all of this metrics analysis, etc., with a very nice and big um, quality. So if the quality will be like, Victor, how much? 90% plus,
90,
maybe 95,
95 plus, it will be great, yeah.
95% plus. So this is where we're heading to. In order to have this data, in order to say that okay, this technology is working, 95% is like almost it's working perfectly, because it's like always 5% that something will go wrong in every system. Uh, we need a lot of data. And for instance, one of the ways how we're going to aggregate this data within the blockchain sports, we wanted to create a lot of internal tournaments for our football players, for some external football clubs, and provide this tech, aggregate this data, help this football clubs, and in the end of the day, have this system which is providing all of these results with the 95 plus percent uh, like 95% accuracy. So this is like our main goal. And this is what we're working here with the computer vision. Uh, this is like the end of this presentation. Thank you so much to being here with us. As I've mentioned, like tomorrow we'll have a next Zoom session with the next subject called the football fight. We're going to talk more deeply about this media project that we do have. It's very interesting new concept. And what I was trying to say that we within like the blockchain sports, we're trying to redesign some of the football things. We're trying to create a new concept. We're trying to create a new ways how the players can interact between each other, how they can interact with the ball, and these different types of approaches is what we see the future of the football ecosystem. So, Victor, maybe you can say some final words and like what do you feel about the computer vision? Because you are so deeply involved into this technology. So, how do you feel?
Yeah, I
Does
mean,
it
right now,
is it something revolutionizing? Is it something that is, like the world never seen before? Because like you've been in the industry for like 10 plus years, and you're helping us in like in terms of creating a new story here. So, what is your like general impression of what we are doing here with the computer vision?
I think in the world right now we have no such technology to cover all the part of the football story. Uh, and I think it will be like one of the greatest technology in the sports, maybe not even in the football, but right now we're talking about the football. So it will be like a great technology, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and Victor have a great point. So we're talking about the football because we're like starting from the football. Football is the biggest sports on earth, and this technology, I would say, it can be easily implemented to the other sports as well. Maybe we need to do some adjustments. Maybe the cameras should be a bit different. Maybe it should be on another height or something like this. Maybe another parameters need to be taken into consideration. I mean, like for the basketball, for the cricket, for another sports. But the point is that since we will have this system working and being trained on football, we'll have a general road. What should we do for the other sports? And we can easily duplicate it for the other sports. Is it right, Victor?
I think yes. I think yes.
Yeah. So I guess this is the most shiny and interesting parts of the tech. If you know how to do something once, you can do this multiple times and have a great results. Okay, guys, thank you for being here with us today. Thank you, Victor, for sharing your knowledge about computer vision, about football here with
Thank you,
me.
Alex.
Yeah, I sincerely thank everybody who is participating in our Zoom calls, in our project, in our social medias. Please be active. Please ask questions, post interesting stories, and tomorrow we'll, as I mentioned in the beginning, tomorrow we'll start to answer your questions after the presentation. Thank you so much, and see you very, very soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.